The sky was completely clear, but within a few minutes dark, dense clouds covered everything. Strong winds began to blow. Darkness descended and then there was a loud explosion. Somewhere a cloud burst and somewhere lightning struck the ground directly from the sky. We've all probably witnessed or felt such an atmosphere at some point. And a question must linger in our minds. How do clouds burst? Do they really split open in the middle, or is there something else at play in this phenomenon? And where does all this water that falls from the clouds come from? If these questions are echoing in your mind too, in this video, we'll explore the journey from water turning into clouds, to the flash of lightning, to clouds bursting, all in a scientific, simple, and very engaging way. So, let's start with the clouds that produce lightning, carry water, and float around, and their types. Generally, space begins about 30 kilometers above the Earth's surface and outer space starts around 100 kilometers up. But as we move upward from the Earth's surface, there are different layers of the atmosphere and clouds float within these layers. The first type of cloud is the altostratus cloud. These float between 2,000 and 6,000 feet above the Earth's surface, which is about half a kilometer to 1.5 kilometers. These clouds move very fast, change their shape rapidly, and soon turn into rain. The second type is the altocumulus cloud. Altocumulus clouds are like siblings to altostratus clouds. They also hover up to 6,000 feet, but they are smaller with golden edges and their color looks captivating in sunlight. The third type is the cirrus cloud. Clouds floating between 500 and 18,000 feet are called cirrus clouds. Shaped like tails or resembling sheep's wool, these clouds are less dense and reflect sunlight. The fourth type is the cirrocumulus cloud. These clouds float up to about 20,000 feet, or roughly 6 kilometers above the Earth's surface. They are scattered and resemble ocean waves, forming a large group from smaller clouds. The fifth type is the cirrostratus cloud. These clouds, seen between 20,000 and 43,000 feet, or about 6 to 12 kilometers up, are called cirrostratus clouds. They are very dense and widespread, causing darkness to spread and making the weather somber. Based on these clouds, warnings for heavy to very heavy rainfall are issued. Next up is the cumulonimbus cloud. So these clouds usually float somewhere between 1,500 and 6,500 feet, but sometimes they can drop as low as 400 to 500 feet. These are the clouds responsible for things like lightning, storms, and even tornadoes. Oh, and they're also known as mammatus clouds. Storm warnings, by the way, are issued based on these clouds. Friends, there are some clouds that are so low, you could actually touch them with your hands. Yes, these are what we call haze or fog. You know, the mist or fog spread across the ground is also a type of cloud. When this fog rises, it actually falls into the stratus category. So, we've learned about the types of clouds, but now let's find out where the water in these clouds comes from, and, how rain falls. Friends, water evaporates from many places on Earth, especially from the oceans. So, evaporation means water turning into vapor. As we all know, water exists on Earth in 3 states: solid as snow or ice, liquid in its original form as water, and gas as vapor. When water is in its solid form, like ice, and the temperature rises above 0 degrees Celsius, it turns into liquid, meaning it becomes water. This process is called melting. When water freezes back into ice, it's called freezing. But when water in its liquid form evaporates into gas due to high heat, it's called evaporation. And when that gas collects and turns back into water at a colder temperature, it's called condensation. Now you might wonder, how can rain or snow fall in places like the North Pole, South Pole, Canada, Denmark, Siberia, or northern Russia, where it's cold? How can water turn into vapor or evaporate there? Friends, wherever sunlight reaches, water evaporates. Even if the water is very cold or there isn't enough heat, water still evaporates. It continuously turns into gas, but the process is very slow. So now you understand that in this process, water from the earth first evaporates as vapor and rises. Due to the lower temperature up there, it condensed and collides with tiny dust particles. Through this collision, the vapor turns back into tiny water droplets. Millions of these water droplets come together to form clouds. At some point, these clouds become so heavy that they can't float easily in the air, and they fall as rain on the earth. In colder regions, these raindrops freeze in the air, leading to snowfall or hail. With all this information, let's now come to our main question: why do clouds burst? You've likely seen the massive damage caused by cloudbursts. Such disasters bring both sorrow and wonder about how this happens. So, this phenomenon actually occurs especially in mountainous regions. You see, strong winds hit the mountains and then rise upward, carrying clouds along with them. As they ascend, the temperature drops, and the pressure and coldness of the upper air make the clouds very dense. Meanwhile, the air coming from below prevents these clouds from raining. In this tug-of-war, more water keeps accumulating in the clouds. The clouds grow larger, and due to the cold at higher altitudes, they turn into ice. Eventually, due to increased density and the clouds becoming heavier, a massive amount of ice and water falls to the ground all at once. Water that should have fallen gradually over weeks or months pours down in just a few hours. This enormous amount of water causes large dams to break, and the water wreaks havoc all around, which we call a cloudburst. So friends, that's all for today's video.